Elon Musk took over Twitter, and already there's an exodus of executives, advertisers, celebrities. Hate speech is up, and just about everyone's asking, what now? So that's our focus for this Wired Wednesday. USA Today Tech Life columnist Jennifer Jolly is back with a look at what's next and arguably the biggest tech story of the year. Hi, Jen. What do you got to say about this?
So much. I mean, all of that chaos and confusion and this on again, off again, will he, won't he by Twitter debacle. Well, all of that's pretty much just gotten worse. I mean, in just a few days at Twitter, Elon Musk has fired most top managers and the entire board. He tweeted and deleted an incredibly hateful and harmful conspiracy theory from a known fake news site about the attack on Paul Pelosi. He announced charging $8 a month for that blue checkmark verification, and he's threatened to fire engineers who can't make the $8 a month thing happen in a week. But to add insult to injury here, he also just can't seem to help himself. He has tweeted more tasteless, cringy, and really not funny jokes than is even remotely okay for someone who isn't the world's richest man now in charge of one of the largest social media sites on the planet. But he is, and he needs to step up to this occasion, and he just isn't.
Okay, so there's a lot to unpack here, and a lot of people have a lot of feelings about this. When it comes to that blue checkmark, do you have one, Jen?
I do have one. I was verified on Twitter in around 2011. One site reached 10,000 followers or so. I didn't pay for that. It hasn't helped or hurt me. It's just one of those things that kind of came with having a lot of followers. Now it's going to come with money, apparently. Elon Musk sent out a series of tweets yesterday to let the world know that Twitter will soon charge $8 a month for its blue service. That will include that sought-after verified badge. He also yesterday changed his own title. I thought this was kind of interesting, from Chief Twit to Twitter Complaint Hotline Operator. And he said he wants to make social media less, or especially his now social media, less reliant on ads. He also tweeted that subscribers will get priority in replies, mentions, and search, and the ability to post long video and audio and half as many ads. And I quote his tweet here saying, Twitter's current lords and peasants system for who has or doesn't have a blue checkmark is expletive. I'll just say BS. Power to the people, blue for $8 a month. For one, I know that I'm coming across pretty strongly here in my opinion. I just don't understand how this helps democratize a site, forcing people to pay for verification that you're not dealing with a bot. I don't have much positive to say about it right now. I do like that, hey, you can opt in right now for $5 for the blue badge, and then you're given a chance to test new features before they're released. It doesn't include that blue checkmark verification, but it does let you edit your tweets up to 30 minutes after you post. So for someone like me whose thumbs are pretty clumsy, I like that.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of things that comes with this. I know for that blue checkmark, though, it is a business that he's trying to do. Can't rely on advertisers, especially with them pulling out. So it will be interesting to see how all that subscription stuff pans out. So a lot of questions for that. I know I personally don't really want to pay for that, but to each their own. All right, so the subscription news comes at the same time Musk is supposed to be meeting with advertisers in New York. So do you think that's a coincidence?
I do not think this is a coincidence. I think this is a typical Musk move to say to advertisers, many who have paused their spending on Twitter to see how all this drama unfolds. I think he's just trying to say, look, I don't need you as much as you think I do. But right now, he does. That's 90% of Twitter's income. And remember last week when Musk posted a letter to advertisers on Twitter saying he doesn't want the platform to become a, quote, free-for-all hellscape where anything can be said with no consequences? Well, so far that's not working out so well. There's been a wave of hate speech on the site, a 1,700% surge in the use of a racial slur. Then on Sunday, Musk shared that conspiracy theory about the attack on Speaker Nancy Pelosi's husband, Paul, from a really well-known fake news site. The article claimed without a shred of evidence that Pelosi was drunk at the time of the assault and in a dispute with a male prostitute. I mean, the poor taste, even if Musk says that was a joke, it was a horrible joke. It's not funny. And he shared it to more than 100 million followers. He later deleted it. but not before it was liked and shared tens of thousands of times. Look, this guy has one of the largest audiences of any public figure on Twitter. He is among its most prolific tweeters. He is now completely solely in charge of it. He shared fake news. He called the New York Times fake news. And just this morning, he tweeted a glowing review of his work so far. I mean, if this is the future of Twitter, advertisers, many people, I don't want any part of it. It's part of that sick, misogynistic bro culture, the worst that's come out of the Silicon Valley and society in general. And it's not going to go down well in the world at large.
A lot of opinions when it comes to Twitter. We're seeing that all over the place right now. Jennifer, thank you so much for your insight. You can watch and read more with Jen in her weekly columns for USA Today and on her website, techish.com.